Hello, hello, everybody. Somebody put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay. Happy Wednesday. I have something to share with you that's light and uplifting before we get into some Summer Wells case insanity. As you all know, it is wild. Dawn Wells has not changed a bit. Candus Bly has not changed a bit. But what we do know, more than anything else, is that nothing has changed in Summer Wells' case at all. And we need to definitely push for more because this is just not cutting it, in my opinion. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'm going to say hi to everybody real quick and then show you some awesomeness that I received today. Hey, Dope Soul. I just made me some fresh coffee. I'm ready to go. Me too. And I was only 2 minutes late, y'all. That's something. Woohoo. I'm only allowed 1 cup a day, says Brooklyn. What, Brooke? 1 cup a day would not even begin to wake me up. I need an IV at this point because it's ridiculous. Especially being pregnant. Oof. Sorry, little baby. You're about to be rattled with caffeine. I'm sorry. I'll do my best. I cut down to 2 or 3 a day, maybe 2 a day. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard in these streets. We do what we got to do. Brooklyn says, I'll be good when we get some closure and justice for these children. You are not kidding. My God. Hey, Wilted Lettuce. Nice to see you. Of course, Brooklyn. Mr. Eve. Mr. Eve is half the reason why I need all this caffeine. That makes sense. That makes sense. Understood. Health first. Health first. So let me show everybody the good. I mean, you already know the news, but it's a picture. It's a sonogram picture that I would love to share with you guys. And the reason why these 2 particular sono pictures are so funny to me is that this baby, all right, it's a boy. This baby is wild already. It's got a personality. Let me show you why I say that. All right. So here's the head, right? And here is the arm right here. And that is exactly how I sleep. And that's exactly how toddler Eve sleeps, my almost 5-year-old. Just the same. And so, so we're going to have 2 very similar toddlers or children. Big O head, big O feet. Now let me show you this. This is what cracked me up. Bigfoot is real. I have now proven that Bigfoot exists. It's in my womb. It's right here. Look at that monster. Look, y'all, I'm only, 21 weeks along? Look at that thing. No wonder I have to be in the bathroom 20 times a day. It's kicking the hell out of my bladder. Isn't that cute? Yeah. You know, it's amazing to me how much, there's not a lot of room in there, but they seem to be just fine. Dope says Antidope is already in love. That's sweet. Yes, please do. Please do. I will take any and all offers because my family's spread out, so it's hard to get any kind of a break around here. And that includes Mr. Eve. You can babysit him too. More than happy to forgo Mr. Eve for a day. No refunds. All right. So, of course, we're talking about Summer Wells today. It's been a little bit. I did make a video that was pretty, it picked up some steam. It had almost 2,000 views since I posted it last week, which is big for me because I'm not a big channel, right? And it was a very spiritual one. I've kind of been putting the mediumships thing on the side for a while now. And that is by choice. I dabble in it to keep it kind of in what's the word? In practice, if you will. It's like a muscle. But when you do that, sometimes things just have to come through. And in my dream, it was Summer Wells singing that song. I don't know if you guys have seen the video, but it's definitely in the Summer Wells playlist that I have. And it was wild. It was crazy. So she was singing a song about being up in the mountains and her dad not letting anybody come on the mountains to marry her, date her, take her away. And it was about this guy singing about that. And she was singing this to me as we were walking hand in hand in the Bay Mountains of Tennessee. It was wild. I still trip about it. I saw her clear as day. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. So, wild. Hi, Whistle. I'm late, so it's okay to be late because I'm late to my own damn lives. It's all good. Just glad you're here. All right, so what we're going to do is jump into a few things that I feel are crucial in this Summer Wells investigation. And then we're also going to compare it to my the Bible of falsely reported child abductions case study that you know I love. I've been working to try to get funding for the one of the professors who helped with this article to get a new one because it's from 2011, but I still think that it applies to current day. But we do need new studies like this because of COVID. COVID completely changed the game when it comes to missing children, missing persons, crime, how it's reported, what happens, things like that, how it's covered, media-wise, how it's covered up, etc. CPS has been a huge issue with not wanting to take accountability. We have the Harmony Montgomery case, the Oakley Carlson case. So things have really, especially COVID, has really changed the game on how these missing persons cases, specifically children, have been handled and continue to be handled. It's very odd. Things have definitely taken a dive. So the first thing that I want to go over before we get into the case study to kind of compare and contrast Dawn and Candus, all right, specifically, because those are the people that, as we know, knew Summer Wells the most, the best, the closest to her. We can't go over her brothers necessarily, right? Because first of all, they're minors. I don't feel comfortable talking about them in detail, but we will talk a little bit about that, about the brothers and recent events, as well as a little bit of Candus' hair, Candy's mama. So, the crucial things that I want to talk about first and foremost is what was going on with the adults from Ben Hill Road. What was going on in their lives? All right. First things first, we got Candus Bly. And I wanted to show everybody that in March of 2021, Candus was charged with disorderly conduct. Her violation date was 3/12, the filing date was 3/16, and it was disposed of, this is very important in my opinion, it was disposed of on June 9th, 2021. She pled guilty as charged. Now you're wondering, okay, well, what the hell is this disorderly conduct charge? Most of you probably already have a clue if you've been following the cases severely as others. But I'm going to show you exactly what it was in a video. Jonathan Lee Riches has allowed me to use his content I am very appreciative of that, no matter how you feel about him. Please put some respect out there for at least letting him collaborate with me with our content for these missing children. So I really appreciate that. And I'm going to put his link and stuff all in my YouTube description box. But I do appreciate it, no matter how you feel. I'm going to pull it up.
Now, she got banned from Walmart.
She got banned from Walmart. I think that's what, Hunter's grandma, I believe. All right, let's listen in.
Banned from all Walmarts. She went in there to get a phone one day, and she threatened them about blowing them up.
Yes, we did hear about that.
She got arrested. I was there with her when she got arrested.
You were there when she got arrested?
We were in the
down.
She got a ticket. She got arrested.
She cited.
But they gave her a ticket.
And she's banned from Walmart, Candus?
Yeah.
Which Walmart was that?
Fort Henry Drive, that was.
That's the one that
what was the issue?
Okay, so Fort Henry Drive is in Sullivan County, which is where this charge is stemming from that I showed you earlier. Y'all saw it. And again, it was on 3/12, filed on 3/16. And then her disposition date was June 9th. So that's 6 days, a week before Summer Wells went missing. This is what she was up to prior to that. So she was having some legal issues. And then we're going to hear about how she acted in the Walmarts. And she's banned from all the Walmarts. So we are told. And why do you ask? Well, let's listen.
Issue. What happened in there? What happened?
She came and got me. She said she had to go to the store to get a phone. I said, all right, we'll go to whatever Walmart she wanted to go to. She wanted to go to that one where Ellie works. She wanted to go to Fort Henry Drive. Right. The kids were hungry, so she got them something to eat. So we go to Fort Henry Drive. We go in Walmart's. Kids are acting up because they minded. And then she gets the phone, and then they wanted a toy. She goes, all right, shut the hell up. I'll go get you a toy. And we're down toy aisle. She was arguing with a little one about one. The boys are running around trying to find it. All of a sudden, all you seen is like 5 police coming down the aisle and say, what's going on, ladies? I go, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. I don't even know why you're here. And then they said something about she threatened to blow up Walmarts. And she did say that over.
I just love how us Southern country people say the Walmarts. We can talk about one Walmart, but we're like, you can't go to the Walmarts today. You ain't got your SNAP benefits. You got to wait till the 1st through the 9th. Don't go to them Walmarts. That's just how we are. It's crazy. It just cracks me up.
There.
Did you hear her say it?
Yeah.
What was their issue? Like, why?
When she got the phone, she wanted them to help her set it up, and they said that she couldn't because that was a new policy or something. So she got mad and says, somebody should come and blow this place up. And that's why they called the cops, and that's why it's like 5, 6 officers.
What was this last year? When did this happen?
Last year.
Last year.
Tax time.
Tax time.
So you see how she just said it was around tax time? Well, her disorderly conduct charge was in March of 2021. That's about tax time, right? Because you have to file by, February something. So there you go. That makes sense that the charge that I pulled up, right here, our hearing date was 6/3 before it was disposed of 6/9, right? That makes sense that the 3/16/2021 disorderly conduct charge is what they're talking about here. And that was what was going down. So she wasn't, obviously in March of 2021, she wasn't doing better than October 2020 when Jose Roman I'm just being extra. So when Jose came down from New York to hang out, of all places, 110 Ben Hill Road. Okay. So let's just finish this little part.
Oh, so she was using her tax money.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that was what was going on in Sullivan County with Miss Candus. And what was going on with everyone else? Or let's just start with Dawn. Let's see, Dawn. Oops, I got that backwards. Because I'm dyslexic as hell. Let's see what's up with Dawn in Sullivan County. It takes a little bit to load on these Tennessee courts. Vegan says, hi, everyone. Candus shaved Summer's head bald just after that Walmart arrest. Really? That makes sense, actually. Hi, in the Dax. How are you? So I did, by the way, I did a FOIA request, which is a Freedom of Information Act request on that specific situation to get the deets on. Like, because sometimes it'll give you the actual description and the police report and what was said, what Walmart said, and all that stuff. And sometimes they even have body cam footage. But I was denied due to privacy reasons. So that tells me that because it's probably connected to Summerwell's investigation or maybe CPS, that it's actually on lockdown because it's part of something else that we are not allowed to see. That's usually when they deny it. Hardly ever have I ever gotten the privacy thing. Except for in the Michael Wells case, Michael Vaughn case. But we'll that's for another live. All right, so here we go in Sullivan County. We have Mr. Oh, none of that's Wesley. What in the world? Let's try this again, one more time. There we go. Trifling. Nothing in Sullivan. So it looks like for now, let's try, you know what? Let's try circuit court. Sometimes it just depends on the charge. It can get a little squirrely. Same. Nothing in Sullivan. I know that's a damn lie, but you know what? That's okay. That's all right. We're going to do Hawkins County. That's next. Ignore Dishner right now. That I can't even start. I can't even begin. That's for another day. All right, here we go. So for Don, we're going to skip this 2001 charge. I could care less. That was way back in the day. But there is one here for 10/15/2020. Okay, here we go. State of Tennessee versus Donald Wells. Charges: domestic assault. The violation date was 10/14, excuse me. Possession of a handgun while under the influence. Convicted felon. Possession of a weapon that was dismissed, as well as a domestic assault. But there was a probation violation that was added on the next year, and that was when he got pulled over for drinking and driving or having that bottle of whiskey. And y'all remember that. I think he was on the phone with a YouTuber. Was it? No thanks. Yeah. So anyway, he was guilty for the possession of a handgun while under the influence and that obvious probation violation a year later. Here's the hearings, okay? Which is important to me because this is leading up to June 15th, y'all. This is very important to see what was going on in their lives, all right? Don's arraignment was 10/19/2020. There were 3 hearings. Two of them were rescheduled. One was rescheduled November 2020, and then January 25th, 2021, also rescheduled for 2021. Okay. April of 2021, he goes to court, and some of those charges that I said before were dismissed. The domestic assault, right? And the possession weapon convicted felon one, which is very strange. But then he was found guilty on February 7th for that probation violation. So 2 months, roughly 2 months before Summer Wells went missing, he has got all these issues going on, which we all know has still been a problem to this day, even after a year in jail. I mean, come on now, get it together. We all have our woes, right? So if you go here to the civil side of it, it'll also pull up that order of protection. Anybody can go here and look for yourself. So if you go to civil, order of protection, that was filed on 10/15, the next day after he got arrested from Candus. All right. Candus did drop the order of protection, I believe, and wanted those charges withdrew for domestic violence or domestic assault. So she got that taken care of, basically, and got him out and bonded him out. Looking beyond, did you hear the audio from October? Candus tells Dawn the boys would lie for him and later says her boys wouldn't lie to them. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, Dory, thank you. I love you. I love me some all of my Eve fans. I appreciate you. Hey, Miss Rubeck. I will chase down a cow with a fork if I smell a barbecue heating up. Girl, yes. Moo, moo. All right, so that's what was going on. Now let's look at Candus and see if there's anything in Hawkins. Nothing but that. Let's look at criminal. Yeah, I didn't think she had anything at all. I mean, it really is scary, though, that they had all this court drama, and all of these issues. I think I'm in the wrong one. Sorry, hold on. It's hard to know. Oh, whoops. Anyway, I believe that's all that we have for that. Now, Dawn has other issues in Sullivan County, but it's not pulling up for me, and I don't know why. But I do know that he had other things going on, and I'm not sure why it's not pulling up. And I want to find it to show you guys something, because he did have court right before Summer went missing. I mean, right before. And that's very scary to me. Like, why are they not talking about the fact that they had court like a week prior that I'm aware of? I'm not aware of anything like that. They don't talk about these things because it would make them look bad, right? But it is what it is. Like, it is what it is. If you tell somebody you're going to blow up the damn Walmarts, or you're going to blow up the police station at Fruitland PD, like, you need to answer for that. You're not special. People make mistakes, just explain it and move on. But no, none of that happened. October 2020 with Jose, that whole had to come out because Jose got tracked down. Andrew Hiltz got tracked down. What about Knoxville? Great question. I just thought of that before I got on here. So let me look and see. What is Knoxville? Is it Knoxville County? I'm not sure. Knoxville, Tennessee County. Knox County. I was close. Let's see. Oh, look at it. That is a great point. I was like, man, he went to Knoxville to go do his drugs and stuff. So I bet you it's there. So let's look. Maybe he got lucky and never got arrested. I don't know. Oh, let's do. 2001. 2023. What's today? The 17th? Yeah. Let's try it. Nothing. Well, Don, you sneaky bastard. No, I'm going to try one more time because I don't give up. One moment. Nothing. I figured. Okay. I don't think we have anything for Miss Hare, Grandma, that I'm aware of. Nothing. Yeah, I don't think so. So there's nothing there on that. But I really want to know, leading up from Jose's fight with Don when he came back from Utah, October 2020, drunk as a skunk. There has to be some importance to that situation that was going on to lead up to Summer Wells. And the reason why I say that is because there were random people coming from a U-Haul from New York. All right. Who is associated with Hunter's dad, Andrew, Pandrew, whatever you want to call him, who is, do I even need to explain myself? I don't. He is a character. That's all I'll say. And it's very alarming to me that the case study I'm about to pull up is very alarming when it comes to changes within the 6 months prior, 6 to 8 months to a year prior of the child disappearing from a false reported abduction, where the child is deceased, found deceased. Okay? So to remind everybody about this study, false allegation of child abduction, and they end up dead. All right? That's this case study. I've gone over it for so long, but it's still relevant, because it's one of the hardest cases to solve. It's one of the hardest cases to solve when it comes to children, besides human trafficking or, a stranger abduction. Even those are way easier, because typically the child who is abducted by a predator or stranger for bad things, right, are found. At least the child is found and recovered, and then the predator is captured. Sometimes, most times. All right, so this case study is avoiding all of that. This is unrelated. This is when the parents or caregivers of a child cover up child harm. All right, but falsely reported as an abduction. And a big thing about this is that they're looking at, in this study, filicide, the killing of a child by his or her parent. The average age is 5 years old, y'all. 5 years old. Here it is right here. I'm going to actually let me open this in Adobe. I like it better. It's much more, I can highlight it. There we go. Oh, this is a hard one for me. Because I've used it in many cases that I suspect parent involvement in some way. It's very alarming. So there was a total of 66 victims in this study, okay? 4.5 years was the average age, which I round up, okay, to 5 years old. These victims of the 66 in this study range from a day old to 17 years old, and the average is 5. That is not a coinky-dink, in my opinion, with all of these children going missing, never being found around that age. I just don't. I automatically go sus when a 4 or 5, hell, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old goes missing. I'm just going to look at it that way. Yep, unfortunately, yep. Rachel says, we know why they were coming with Pandrew and why they were interested in the child and why CB was selling her and also why DW would come home. DW would come home, yeah. That's what a lot of people are thinking. All right, Mr. Eve, I see that you're on your way. So let me kind of just go down to the meat and potatoes because I will just drag this on and on and on. So let's look at the offender criminal history, which is the most important thing that I wanted to look at. Again, like I said, it's usually the biological parents who are involved in covering up these child's murders or whatever it may be, accidents, by falsely reporting an abduction. Primary offenders had documented criminal history in 57%, so over half. There were adult arrests in almost 50% of the entire population of offenders. Wow. Although their criminal histories were diverse, meaning it had a lot of different charges from different reasons, half of those who had a criminal history were involved in serious offenses, including assaults, sexual assaults, or DV. 12 had been arrested or convicted of larceny or theft, and 11 had prior alcohol or drug-related convictions. 3 have been arrested for crimes involving some kind of deception, bad checks, forgery, fraud offenses, impersonation, counterfeiting, etc. So being a manipulative asshole and a thief. So again, DV being violent, theft, trying to avoid the law, right? Larceny, things that it takes a mind. It takes a mind to come up with a strategy and a plan, is what I'm getting at. And that is huge to me. So typically, by the way, the primary offender age is average of about 30 years old, 30 to 31. But I do think that because of, first of all, COVID and the increase in drugs, drug-related arrests and things like that, I think that it's probably very diverse now, because this is from 2011. Insane. So guess what, y'all? This is the shocker. biological mothers are the usual ones to do this to their children. 39%, it's the mom. 23%, it's the dad, bio dad. And then we have step or adoptive father. Then we have mother's boyfriend, step, mother, aunt, family friend. Family friend is 1%. Meaning this is the relationship between the victim and who killed them. The top contenders are parents. That is atrocious. Hey, Guidance. Hey, Lulu. Glad to see you, honey. I come in peace. No matter what's going on at the lab and my channel, I always support the mods over there because they're wonderful and I miss you guys. Glad you're here. Isn't that crazy? So this is the number of child homicides by age killed by strangers, acquaintances, and family members. The stranger, see this stranger line right here? That is usually females over the age of 11 that it happens to. Now, yes, predators also target very prepubescent children, but typically it's family in the very beginning stages of a child's life that harms them, or a very close acquaintance, somebody that the child knows. Insane. Looks like you're most safe after you learn a little bit about regulation in your emotions somewhat. Because after the age of about 6, 7, or 8, you're getting a grasp on it until about puberty. Then you go ham. Because hormones, right? So here's your safe zone, I guess. You can make it to at least 6 or 7, whew, and you have shitty drug parents or violent parents. Whew, you know? It's awful that you have to think of it that way, though. So, domestic problems. We all know that there have been domestic problems with Dawn and Candus over time, leading up to her disappearance and after her disappearance. These victims that are in this case study came from resource-deprived, higher-stressed homes, meaning income was low or sporadic. So not only do you have this criminal history, but you have these financial and domestic issues within the home going on within 6 months before the child disappears and is reported missing. It says these characteristics of the family in the study are consistent with child maltreatment research findings. If you look at any picture of Summer Wells, besides my favorite one, which is she's in the car with her hair kind of in like a bow thing or a ponytail, smiling real big. She's got a seatbelt on. I love that picture. And maybe one other one, but you could just tell that there is some maltreatment going on in that house with these children, especially Summer. So the CDC identifies several risk factors for violence against these children. Poverty or disadvantages, history of domestic abuse, lack of family cohesion, which is obvious in Summer Wells' case, and substance abuse that increase caregiver burden and parents' lack of understanding child's needs. We obviously know that Candus fails horribly, as well as Dawn, in the caregiver role. There's drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and random ass strangers coming in and out of that house. Other problems include medical concerns. This one is huge to me because I do feel like Summer was sick. I've always felt that. I just do. I feel like she was really suffering. And there is a thing called failure to thrive in children. I've seen it in children that have medical conditions and where they're neglected at home as well. It's failure to thrive. They literally die because they're done. They're done, right? It's awful. Multiple toddlers in the same household and child custody issues. The majority, 92% of victims, families in this study suffered from some type of domestic problem. We know that's a fact. Insane. Here's the biggest thing for me. There was also evidence of instability within the victims' families. In 58% of the cases, there was a change in the family structure within 6 months prior to the offense. What was going on? What was going on in Candus's life and Dawn's life? Drugs, alcohol, domestic violence, people coming from New York in U-Hauls, a U-Haul rather, and there was no cohesion, no family cohesion. How could you? How could you with all those people in that house? Okay. My Shedlines said it perfectly. Some other cases come to mind as you speak on this. Absolutely. Hell, pick any missing child case where they're still missing and no one's been cleared. Boom. So, some examples of these changes include birth of a child, the victim or offender moving into the household, or another person moving into the household. Interesting, ain't it? Very interesting. There was prolonged separation between the offender and the victim in 53% of the cases, meaning sometimes they went to live with family and came back. Sometimes they were taken away by CPS and came back. They were fostered, came back. There was a separation, and that lack of bonding and love decimated. And then they come back and it's chaos. It says, for example, victims who lived in with a separated parent or relative or foster home for a significant period of time prior to moving into the back into the family unit, which they were killed, appear to be at a higher risk. So when you hear those things about why did they let that baby come back into these monsters' lives? CPS took them away and now they put them back and they're dead now. That is why. That right there is why. Because they don't do the proper and necessary psychological things. Because they don't have the resources, CPS, or they don't even care. And they just stick them right back with the parents because that's what you're supposed to do. Right, Rachel? Random addicts living in the sheds. Oh, thank you, Patty. No, this is the stuff that we need to be, aware of. These are the kind of stats that we need to be aware of. It can make a lot more sense in these cases. So they moved back after a prolonged period of time. Maybe Summer was, let's just say, hypothetically, Summer was in CPS care or at someone else's care. We do know, and I have met the babysitter of Summer Wells. She's a minor, and she's a beautiful, beautiful soul. She loved Summer. She was sweet to Summer, and I appreciate her for doing that for her. Loved her to death, and she was concerned about certain things when Summer went back home, right? But I don't know anything about if it was her staying for long periods of time. But maybe CPS had taken them before, which we assume. We don't know, but I think we assume this. So what if they just got her back, like Don said? Isn't that what he said? We just got her back. Here you go. If that was true, this makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because it further increased risks in 41%. Wow. The victim had been described by the offender as being difficult or different. and therefore potentially perceived by their caregiver as an excessive burden. I think that that hits a nail in the head on this case. Children residing in family units exhibiting domestic problems are higher risk for victimization. It's not surprising that 8% of victims in this study had official documented histories of previous physical abuse. That's very low to me, 8%. That's very low. That tells me that out of the 100%, only 8 had official documented histories of previous physical abuse, but 92% did not. So when you see some of these family members who have children that there's no CPS cases on, keep that in mind and don't judge too quickly. Or don't judge at all and judge a little. Because you don't know. You really don't know. Because it could go either way. Another 36% were reported unofficially by family, neighbors, and other associates. So here's the missing child report. Think of Don and Candus while we're going through this. Because the next live, we're going to go over other people that were around. And you're going to be really shocked, okay? In 71% of the cases, the victim was reported missing, abducted by the primary offender. 71%. The report was made indirectly by the offender through a third person in 15%. Maybe a grandmother or a neighbor, whatever. The fact that the majority of the calls to police were made by the primary offender presents investigators with a valuable opportunity from a statement analysis perspective. Through the collection of 911 recordings, investigators have the benefit of hearing the offender's firsthand recital of the incident. What did Candus, what did the dispatcher say? Mom was going for a walk. Be advised that when she came back, the child was missing. No, that's not right. Now, could the dispatcher been mistaken? Yeah. But their job is to listen intently. Okay? That's their job, is to listen intently. So we don't really know. We also don't know, well, we do know that Dawn said that they both called 911. Dawn told Candus to call 911, and then he calls after or during to report it too. Because he's on his way home. He's throwing his tools in the back of the Subaru, which is odd. Right? He took it that day. Interesting. So that's why we all want that damn 911 call released. Or both, or whatever. Let's not forget the 2-hour gap of time. In my opinion, that can't be accounted for very well. The offender reported the last known sighting of the victim as their residence in over half of the cases. 42 inside and 12 outside, y'all. There we go. Immediately outside, it says. Sorry, I had to scroll up and down. The offender reported the last known sighting of the victim as their residence in 54% of the cases, 42 inside the home, and then 12 immediately outside. Weird. Offenders also reported them missing from vehicles and shopping areas, which is rare, more rare. Which shopping areas makes me think of Adam Welch, but we're not getting into that today. This characteristic is similar to non-family child abductions, where 40% of the victims were last seen within 200 feet of their homes, from their homes. So keep that in mind, that when somebody has a missing child, if they say he was right there on the couch watching his iPad or whatever, and just out of there, side-eye the shit out of him. It's okay. Absolutely. So staging is pretty intense, but I'll just say this. Staging is where they put things in other places to make it look like they were actually abducted. For instance, somebody put a mitten on top of or in a mailbox as like it was some kind of ransom, right? Or they'll move their vehicles to other locations prior to calling the police, right? Things like that. Broken windows, unlocked doors, rummaging through the room, things like that. And it's very hard to know if those staging things are actually staged or not, because it's their home, it's their stuff. The parents are going to tell the investigators, that's so weird, you know, da 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 da. And if there's no proof that they put it there, you're not going to, or did anything to stage, it's hard. It's hard to know. So real quick, before I wrap it up, relationship problems. Think about Dawn and Candus. They had some relationship problems. Dawn thought Candus and Jose were bumping uglies, I guess. And Jose's like, no, dude, I like dudes. I like dudes that don't look like dudes. So, and that's the truth. But they had relationship problems, intense relationship problems. Then it was financial, then drug and alcohol abuse. And typically, drug and alcohol abuse coincides with any problems in your life. Any problems. So, then followed by drugs, domestic violence, which goes hand in hand. And then everything else, other unemployment, you know, intense things going on inside the family dynamic. Things that are stressful, high stressful. On top of that, you have, you know, no family cohesion, and then drugs, fueling the flame. No money when you need drugs. It's going to cause these problems, right? So, two primary reasons false allegation victims died at the hands of their parents, and then I'm going to go. Of those where motivation could reasonably be determined, most of the victims were killed because they were unwanted. They were just simply unwanted. Or they were a result of a fatal child abuse incident. And because of that, being unwanted, they were often viewed as obstacles to the offender's sexual relationships. And that also includes getting back at the parent where that child loves more. It's retaliation against the parent who is not doing what they want them to do. I'll show you. That is just pathetic to me. And here's the weird thing. Evidence of SA was only found in 5 cases involving female children, ranging in age from 4 to 12, victimized by non-family members. That's very low. That's very low. So there's not a very big correlation between that essaying, and a lot of people think that that's, you know, because Don did things in his past with horrible things, that he's actually he had failed to report as a sex offender in Utah for the stuff going on and all the case stuff going on with his sisters, his sister Mary and maybe Jeannie. Typically that's not what's going on in these cases, but it could happen, right? So these homicides in general appear to be means for an overwhelmed parent to get rid of a burdensome child rather than as a result of SA motivation. The small number of SA cases that occurred within this sample is significant compared to the high incidence of SA motivated cases involving non-family abductors, predators, especially among school-age children. Okay? So I don't really look, when I'm looking at Summer Wells' case, I don't, first of all, feel that he has done anything to her. I don't. He could. He very well, damn well could. But I think that if it was anybody, it was somebody that was around on. It was somebody that was around the family. Because there was just too many people. Bad people. Right? So in half the cases, clearly intended to do so to kill the child. Like, wanted them to die and planned it. We'll get into maybe the body disposal next time, but I have gone over this before. Typically, real quick, the parents will make sure that they aren't found without a confession. Confessions are what finds these children. Most homicides, 65%, occur in the home, guys, and disposed of outdoors. Usually dumping them on top of the ground somewhere else. It can range from, what did it say? I think it says down here, 2 miles, within 2 miles up to 40. That was the most outrageous one in this study, was 43 miles away. And that was a very specific area that they knew about. It was property that they knew no one would look at. Yeah. Most of them died from blunt force trauma or suffocation, asphyxiation. Most of them. That's why I think that some of these children that go missing and then are never found, or whatever, I think that it is a violent cover-up. Because especially in COVID times, y'all, these babies being home with each other, people are used to having their drug time, their personal time, their time. And that was interrupted hugely. And it built up and built up and built up over time. And 2021 was the catalyst because we had a resurgence of COVID. And it happened again at the beginning. And they were like, all right, I've lost it. And I think that these kids were direct victims of parents. Drug addicted, violent parents. And maybe they weren't all like that. But it only takes one time to assault a child when you've just had it. You lost your cool, your temper, and they die. It does happen. And I really think that we need to keep our eyes open more and stop pigeonholing ourselves, because it's in the study. It's right there in front of our faces. The percentages are high. They're too high. And with Summer Wells, in this case study specifically, it's too eerily close, right? Way too close for comfort. And I think that people need to share this. I really hope that you do if you're watching. I'll put a link into the case study that you can go and look for yourself if you want to, just to have. But we're also going to start looking on this channel anyway. We're going to start looking at other people that were around. That's Candus, Grandma Candus, Hunter, and Allie. You're going to be very surprised with what I know about that situation with Hunter's family. Specifically Hunter and Allie. It's not good. It's not good at all. And we're going to get into that this week. I'm going to catch up a chat. Wonder how CCONTF will justify that charge, right? Yep. Drug time. That's the fun time. Don't mess with shitty parents' drug time. You'll find yourself in a very unfortunate circumstance. Justice for Summer. No justice, no peace. That's right. Yes. Thank you, Grammy. Please hit that like before leaving and share this video. Please do. All right, guys. You know, as I say, let's find these babies. Drink your water. Hug yourself. Your babies, your fur babies, grandbabies, all these babies. Let's find missing persons, missing children, and share, share, share. Have a wonderful week ahead. I'll see you on the next live. Bye.